Brown Bag Business Chat, lunchtime marketing and development topics to chew on, presented by Blue Steel Solutions. Welcome to the Brown Bag Business Chat. Today we have Miss Pam Aungst with Pam and Marketing. Pam, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you do it for.
Hi, thanks for having me today. What we do and who we do it for. Okay, so we help businesses get more traffic to their websites and get more leads out of them, primarily through search engine tactics such as search engine optimization, SEO, which is what we're talking about today, and search engine marketing, also known as pay-per-click, PPC, Google ads for the most part. So, really live and breathe in the Google world and help people navigate that, which is very complicated but very, very rewarding once we get it working for people. So, and who we do it for is, any business. So that's a common question a lot of people ask, do you work with certain industries or certain size companies? It's really all over the board. Not so much the really big companies, Fortune 500s and such, they tend to have their own whole departments for this kind of stuff, so not really that, but any other company size, any other industry. We have a little bit of a niche with B2B, businesses that sell their services or products to other businesses. We've got a good portfolio of B2C e-commerce type clients too, so it's really all over the place, and it's just anyone who needs more traffic to their website. The situation is usually what's the common thread between the type of companies that we help. They're kind of lost. They know the importance of this, they know the value in it, the potential value in it, they know they need to be working on it, but they just don't know what to do. And so that's kind of like the type of company we have, is any company that's in that situation.
And just so everyone knows, if you're watching right now, as you have questions about what we're talking about, or if there's specific things about SEO that you really hope to take away from today, you can either, if you're watching the chat live on Google+, you can ask questions right there on the sidebar, and we'll get to those. Or if you're just sort of watching in the background, you can go to Twitter and send questions with the hashtag BBBchat, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can. To help get people a little bit more comfortable with what we're talking about today, Pam, why don't you give us your definition of what SEO is?
Okay, sure. So my definition is that SEO is the art and science of getting a website to appear higher in search results. Pretty simplistic, and if I go any more in depth, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of like all the detail that goes into that. So I mean, the 101 level definition is really just, it is an art and it's a science. It's very much both. It's so exact in some ways, and it's so not exact in other ways, because it's like hundreds of thousands of very exact algorithms, very exact if this then that statements that all layer on top of each other. But when you get that level of complexity, it becomes kind of an art, and you need like an intuition to work through all that. So it's an art and a science of getting websites to appear higher in search results.
So now that everybody's terrified of what SEO is, what can people do? So what is the first action step in actually getting your site to show up better in the search results?
All right, so there's a lot of steps involved in making it really, really work. So there was another question that you had previewed to me that said, what can people do right now? So I'll leave that like short summary. There are some kind of like more simple steps you can just dive in and do to help your SEO. I'll kind of leave that as a separate question. If you want to look at the big picture of what's involved, I always approach everything threefold. There's three main aspects to SEO. There's technical, on-page, and off-page. So technical is the code part of things for the most part, and website server settings and things like that. Google, and I always say Google because they have 70% market share, and that's who people care about. All search engines send out a robotic computer program, crawler program, to go extract the information from your site and pull a copy of it into their own database, and that's what gets searched against when someone searches. And so it's really important to have really clean code, search engine friendly code that the crawler will understand, not hit any errors or dead ends in the code, because then it won't be able to copy over your information in full or accurately. So that's a really important foundational thing. Before you start working hard on anything else, I'd say step one is that's always what we do first, is a technical audit is step one. Or if a new site's in the work, we do kind of a blueprint, a tech spec for the build of the new site to make sure that all of those search engine crawler code considerations are taken into account. Because if you have all the right keywords and all the good links pointing to your site and everything else in place, but the crawler can't pull the information out of your site and put it into Google, that's a waste. So that's always what we look at first, and then once the clean, the plan for a clean foundation is there, then we look at what keywords are used, where and how they're used, how content is organized so that the search engine crawler can understand it, because it is a robot computer program. It's not a human. It can't infer things that this is kind of related to that. It needs very clear organization of content and frequency of content, a strategy that's very important for adding content on a regular basis. So we'll look at, when it comes to what words to use, keyword research is finding out what words will get you a good amount of traffic but won't be too hard to rank for. A lot of people have this intuition that, well, because there's a lot of different ways to say the same thing, so how should you say it? People are like, I want to say it the most popular way, however it's typed in most often. That's also the most competitive way, so you probably will never have a chance of ranking for that if you're anything short of a Fortune 500 company. So, but on the flip side, you can go to the other extreme. You can use totally obscure terms, really, really long tail, lots of words, and then that no one's ever going to type it in that way, or 1 or 2 people a month or a year are going to type it in that way, and that's really easy to get to the top of the search engine for something like that, but it's not going to get you any traffic. So the whole keyword research goal is to find we do a whole lot of work. We don't limit your kind of available inventory of words with popularity and competitiveness. So there's a good amount of traffic, but not so much competitiveness that it's going to be impossible to rank for. And we have a couple of different formulas, mathematical Excel formulas that we use to figure that out. So then once we know what words to use, look at where and how to use them. That's where that content organization comes into play, information architecture being the fancy word for that in SEO industry, but just logical groupings of content. If you have one services page on your website that lists out all the different services that you do, we do this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. The search engine crawler program is going to look at that and not really know what to file it under. It's not about one thing. So it's fine to have an index page like that, but it's really important to have separate subpages or subsections of the site that have to do with one particular thing. So I always use the example of a photographer. If they offer wedding photography, family portrait photography, corporate event photography, and so on, it's fine to have one page saying all that, but people and search engines should be able to drill down into each specific area. One page or one whole section of the site just about wedding photography, one just about family portrait photography, and so on. Then it's perfectly clear to the search engine program what to file that section of the site or that page of the site under. Then the other part of the on-page content strategy is the freshness thing, which is a very commonly misunderstood part of SEO. People think, they understand that they got to keep their content fresh and new, but a lot of people think that means just rewriting, like changing up existing content on existing pages, just freshening it up every so often, and that's not really what the search engines are looking for. That can actually confuse the crawler that had you filed under one thing and now it doesn't know where to put you. So what the search engines are really looking for is additions of content, new pages, freshness as in adding new layers of pages and having the site always growing bigger, bigger, bigger. That's what they mean by fresh content. And that's typically done through a blog nowadays. Almost all sites have blogs for that purpose. For many other purposes too. But from my search engine point of view, that's the purpose of a blog on a site, is to let it keep growing, because each article is a page. And that's where that freshness factor comes in. And there's just a direct statistical correlation between the frequency of articles added and the traffic and rankings that a site gets. It's just a direct diagonal line that goes up. Blog once a month, you might be here. Once a week, you'll be here. Twice a week, you'll be here. Daily, you'll be up here, like Chris Lemma. I know. I use an example all the time because I know he doesn't pay too much attention to exactly what keywords to use in this and all these SEO things, but he makes up for it just in frequency and volume of content by blogging 365 days a year. Now that's not realistic or feasible for most small businesses, so that's where we help them come up with a strategy. What is feasible? Where can we help? Or can we write for you, or you write and we just give you keywords for it? Or, we try to find the win-win that'll get the most frequency as possible. And then there's the whole off-page part of things, which is everything that doesn't even happen on the website to contribute to the reputation of it. So if you have all clean code and all the right words in the right places, your site is now a match when someone types that phrase in, but so are a lot of other sites. So how does Google determine, who should go to the front page and who should go to the top of the front page? That's where they really look at these other off-page factors, which are links and social media signals, and links being other websites linking to your site. Social media signals, like social media activity going on your content. If you share a blog article on Facebook or especially Google+, and somebody likes it or comments on it or reshares it, that's real, like, human signals, like signals of like a human saying, this is like a literal thumbs up, this is good stuff. And so the search engines really take that into account very strongly. And there's some other off-page things too, but the link building thing is the thing to pay the most attention about, and that'll probably segue into another question, which is how to tell if your SEO company is good or not, but I'll let you guide the topic of that. But that's basically it. So that's basically it. I say that like that was so short and simple. But you can think of it in 3 short and simple categories, which is technical considerations, on-page content considerations, and off-page. You're brief now.
Now that you've given us this whole big overview, before we start talking about actually working with consultants, a lot of people just do not have it in their budget right now. They're startup, they're growing, they're not at that Fortune 500 level where they have an internal department, but somebody inside of their organization is going to have to take control and try to do something with SEO until they get to the point of being able to afford someone like yourself to help with that. So what kind of resources can you give for those people? Where can they go to learn more about it, to get questions answered, to maybe see if they're on the right track by testing their website? What are some really good resources that we can give to people to help with doing their own SEO?
Okay, good question. So with SEO, there's not like formal training from Google like there kind of is with AdWords. Like well, there's a certification program for Google AdWords that you can get certified by Google, that you know what it is that they want. And there's tons of documentation on what they want. That's not necessarily the case with SEO. I mean, first of all, though, there are the Google Webmaster Guidelines. So when it comes to that technical stuff, it's kind of, people are kind of surprised to find out that they exist, but Google tells you and gives specifications of what we want and what we don't want, what makes it easy for us to understand your site and what makes it hard for us to understand your site. Do this, don't do that. So from a technical point of view, that's very good. There's also tools that you can run a quick technical audit on your site, WooRank being one of them, WOORANK. You can get one scan for free. It's pretty good, comprehensive scan, and color codes the results. Red is bad and green is good, and gives you a good starting point of what you need to be looking at. As far as the other parts of it, trade shows are great. I mean, going to like SMX or PubCon and attending those sessions, and a lot of times there's like breakout training sessions too, or like the day before is like a workshop, like Bruce Clay gives the SEO workshop that I hear is amazing. And then there's just like keeping up with the industry. You kind of learn by osmosis. So there's a lot of not great information out there, but there are a few really authoritative sources that if you just keep up to date reading their blog once a week, you kind of get a feel for how this stuff works. So like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, the sites like that, even just those two. Just keeping up to date and reading will go a long way. And then, there's always individual training too. We do training. We don't care about whether we get business by doing stuff for someone or teaching them, but whatever works, whatever gets, if they don't have the budget for us to do stuff for them on a regular basis, I'd rather help them out in some way, shape, or form and teach that internal person what they need to be doing. Maybe even just do the reporting for them so we can do the deep analysis of what's working and what's not working and give them ongoing guidance. But, there's absolutely no reason why you can't find a way to get it done somehow.
And I will say Pam has some great resources on her site. I know she probably didn't want to plug herself there, but I know you've started adding kind of a weekly roundup. Is that a good place for people who are outside of the SEO industry to go and see what's new, what's going on, maybe information that would be relative to them?
Yeah, definitely. That's we take the biggest news sources and round up, the information from the week from those into kind of the three most impactful things that happened that week. So those sites can be overwhelming. There's a lot of articles published there every day. So Matt Southern, our SEO writer and analyst, who also happens to be the lead news writer for Search Engine Journal, goes through and curates and plucks out the most important things of the week and puts them in a weekly roundup on our blog. So yeah, that's a good place to keep an eye on too.
Awesome. And that's panmanmarketing.com for people who want to go and read those and maybe sign up for some updates in the future. So transitioning from talking about running your SEO yourself, it's a big task, but it's definitely doable if you find the right resources to train yourself and test what you're doing to make sure you're getting the results that you're looking for. Moving on to talking about actually working with an SEO consultant. I know there's a lot of people that when I talk to them about bringing a consultant into the picture or just working with an SEO person, they kind of tend to go, ooh. There seems to be a little bit of a bad taste for some people when it comes to working with an SEO consultant. Why is that? Why do people seem to shy away or have some fear about bringing someone in to help with their search engine optimization?
Yeah, good question. It's an unfortunate reality that I think it's just because of the nature of the industry that there's a lot of snake oil salespeople out there in SEO, and almost everyone that I talk to as a prospect or potential client, they have been burned in some way, shape, or form by a company or a consultant like that. I think it's the nature of the business that causes it to kind of run rampant, it being kind of like the deceitful stuff that goes on, because it's kind of like used car salesmen. They have a really bad rap because they swindle people. They swindle uneducated buyers. The buyer doesn't really know how much negotiating power they have. A lot of times, I certainly didn't. When I bought my first car, I had no idea that I pushed back, and the guy would have gone to his manager and got it approved. I didn't know how it worked, so I obviously paid more than I needed to, and the used car salesperson took advantage of that. It's because of that uneducated factor, I think, and that's not the fault of any of the clients themselves. It's crazy complicated stuff. They don't have time to learn it all and know exactly how it works so that they can properly vet their SEO company through and through. They have to go on a bit of trust that what the person is telling them is true. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that just kind of capitalize upon the fact that they know that you don't know, and they can just go in and talk geek speak and tech talk and sound really smart, and then either take the client's money and do nothing, or take the client's money and do some shortcut things that will get them to the top of Google's page one, but not necessarily by Google's rules. So then at some point they get kicked out, and then they have to pay to undo what they paid to have done, and that's the one that really hurts. I mean, the taking the money and not doing anything with it that's bad, but I really feel for the people that pay to have something done and then have pay to go to Google and get back to the point where they're getting clients through their websites again. So it's really unfortunate. I just think it's the nature of any industry that's real complicated like that. It happens.
So what are some of the things that people should look out for? You mentioned there's some tactics that some people might take that are not in Google's outlines of how you're supposed to do things, or maybe are just a quick fix solution that could end up causing more problems down the road. What are some of those things so that people know what to look out for?
So I have an older blog article on my site that cites some very specific things, which actually surprisingly haven't changed too much based upon how much this stuff changes, those kind of red flag things to watch out for, the very specific keywords to watch out for, like doorway pages and things like that, hidden text, and that's kind of very specific things to watch out for, and you can check that article out for more. But basically, overall, and pull out and look at a big picture, the types of consultants and types of companies that do that are not very transparent people. So, without getting very technical at all, you can kind of just stay focused on vetting the transparency of the company that you're looking to work with. One of the best ways is to ask to look at their reports. What do their monthly reports look like? First of all, how simplistic or not simplistic are they? Like, when I say simplistic, I mean, are they just regurgitations of your Google Analytics printout that you could have done yourself? or just some numbers that mean nothing? Or is there an actual narrative in there? Like, this is what we did for you this month. This is what happened because of it. This is what's working. This is what's not working. This is why we think that is. This is what we think we should do about it. You know, I'm not trying to plug myself, but our first like 2 or 3 pages of our monthly reports are just handwritten with, you know, what we did, it's working, what's not working, how we want to switch gears next month. And we have a half-hour call every month with the client, to at least a half hour. It ends up being longer often, but, you know, at least that much time going over it with the client. So, you know, if you ask a sample of, you know, ask for a bunch so that you can see progress too, like 6 consecutive monthly reports for a client of the company. So you can see not only how much effort they're putting into it and documenting about how much they're putting into it, but is it working? That's another thing too, you know. That's a little tricky because if you say, show me results, they'll say, oh, well, look, we got this person to #1, and they'll type in some obscure keyword and they'll show you how the person's at #1. But ask for a little more specific things, you know, percentages and increases in organic traffic over a certain period of time, or increases in organic conversions, that being the mother lode of what, you know, what everyone's going for is leads, sales. You know, ask for documentation of increases in actual return on the investment. So there are those specific kind of red flags you can watch out for, but if you're not a techie and you really can't wrap your head around that stuff, I mean, focus on transparency and communication, and, you know, kind of trying to get a feel for what the company is like in that regard.
Perfect. And then we talked a little bit at the beginning just about some quick actionable things that people can do outside of, you know, building this whole plan. And it's getting close to the end of the year. A lot of people are probably going to shove those things off until January or later. What are some quick actionable things that people can actually do today that can start to make some improvement in their search engine ranking?
Okay, yeah. So again, you know, pulling out of the weeds to big picture, same as I was just talking about, there are a lot of technicalities and a lot of things that go into it, hundreds of thousands of factors if you tally them all up and how they influence each other. But just if you pull back big picture, what the search engines want to do is they want to rank content that is genuinely helpful to people, whether they do business with you or not. The content itself helped them. And, you know, content that they see signals of people liking, like the social media activity. So basically, anyone, especially if you have a blog right on your site, write content that is genuinely helpful to your target audience, whether they do business with you or not. This article will help them in some way, shape, or form. Actually, it's great if you title the article as a question. With the Hummingbird algorithm update, the whole goal of that was like for Google to understand complete sentences more, and so that works pretty well now. Is, you know, how do I get my website to the top of Google? Like, that could be the title of the blog article, and write a really good, you know, longer is better for search engines, so really good in-depth, and for people who are looking for serious help, in-depth can be good for them too. So really good in-depth, really helpful articles, and then just work on your social media, especially your presence on Google+. If there's anything close to a shortcut, it's getting into Google's own system, you know, by getting your content out there and getting a lot of people to press that +1 button, which is the equivalent of the Facebook like button on Google+. If someone likes an article on Google+, they hit the +1 button. That number of +1s on content is the strongest ranking influencer by far. 2 years in a row, it came in as #1, like with a long margin. Like, all of the bar graphs were like real similar influence that all the other social signals have, but Google's like number of +1s is like off the charts as far as how much it helps with ranking. So blog, great, useful, helpful. Boost your social media efforts so that you've got, you know, a decent following, and then put your blog articles out there on your social media and get those people that are following you to like and comment and get that social mojo activity going on your content. And, you know, that big picture, that will work. You know, without even, it's great if you can cross all the T's and dot all the I's with all the other stuff that, you know, technical and whatnot, but, you know, big picture, that'll pull in the links, that'll pull in the social mojo that the search engines want to see. That'll pull in people and prospects.
So Google is going to make Google Plus happen no matter what. Just by forcing
upon it. Several years, they're not letting it go.
I actually like it a little bit better than Facebook. It's not quite as overrun with junk yet, so hopefully all of those people that publish junk won't stumble over to Google
Right?
anytime
It
soon.
actually works quite well and is quite popular with certain industries. You know, photographers for some reason really like it, and you know, techies like us, you know, tend to be there a lot. So, you know, depending upon who your target audience is, they might be there.
Well, looks like there you are, you back. We lost
I think I
visual
froze
there
you.
for just a minute.
Wow.
We're coming right up on our 30-minute mark. Is there any other parting advice that you would like to give before we sign off?
Sure. So, being that the title of the session was the state of SEO, I kind of wanted to wrap up what I think that is in simple terms. So basically came up with 4 S's. The 4 S's of the state of SEO now, I think, are speed, smartphone, referring to mobile, schema, and simple stuff. And quick rundown of each one of those. So speed. Google is very picky about site speed. It is going to impact your rankings if your site does not load quickly. And while you may feel that you pull up your site and it loads just fine and it's satisfactory to you and doesn't feel slow to you, they're judging you down to the millisecond. And so if you go to Page Speed Insights, if you just Google that term, Page Speed Insights, that's Google's name of Google's speed tool that you can run your site through and see what Google thinks of your site speed. And it'll color code red for bad, orange not so great, or yellow not so great, and green is good. It better be green or real close to it, because if not, their main mission is to serve up a good user experience, a pleasant searching experience. So if they think your site doesn't load fast enough, they're going to think that you're not going to provide a good experience to their searcher, and they're not going to show your site. So speed, speed, speed. The second one being smartphone. I just call it smartphone instead of mobile so I can have 4 S's. It's really about mobile design. Same exact reason. Google wants to serve up a very good experience for the user, for the searcher. So if they're searching on a phone, they want that person to land on a phone-friendly site. And they really encourage responsive design as opposed to separate mobile websites, which of course you guys know all about. Blue Steel has designed some great responsive sites for our clients when we go and recommend that they get a mobile-friendly site. And responsive just means that the site adapts itself to fit the device that's accessing it. So it's sent to a separate mobile website like m.yourcompany.com. It's your same site, just rearranged for a mobile device, but that makes it so that this user can easily scroll through, navigate through, use the menus, and so on. And that's one of the other things that Google's judging you on. In that Page Speed Insights tool, they just, they have a in Google Webmaster Tools, a testing tool for mobile user experience. So they are really focused on how good your website works on mobile. So that's the second one, would be smartphone or mobile. Third one is it's mobile. There you go. The third one was schema. Techie term. Schema.org is an organization that came up with this markup, this extra code that you can put in your site. And what that extra code does is help search engines actually understand the content in an artificial intelligence type of a way, like machine knowledge type of a way. So Google can, by default, tell what words are on your site and whether they match the words that someone types in, but they want to know more than that. They want to know what it all means. They want to be able to have someone Google a person and they come up with that little answer box, a little information box on the side that says the person's birth date, birth city they were born in. Like, they want to understand the entity that you're searching about. And so if you add these code tags to your website, it helps the search engines actually understand the content. And one of the most impactful places for local businesses to do that is on their address. The search engines don't know with any level of certainty where exactly you are geographically, even though you say so. That's just mixed in with a bunch of other text and numbers and letters and gobbledygook on the site. So if you add these extra code tags saying, this is our street address, this is our city, this is our state, this is our zip code, now the search engine knows precisely where you are and is going to be more likely to serve you up in a search to someone who's near you, because they know with creepy accuracy where the searcher is. So if they know you're close to where the searcher is, they're going to serve you up more. So schema markup, the more the better. Just talk to your web developer about it. And the last S being simple stuff. So I think that in this, SEO has gotten so much more complicated, and it's so easy for those Fortune 500 companies to just throw more money at it, get more staff, build up their department, and just dominate because they have the budget to do it. And that makes it hard for the small businesses. But I've found in my experience that it makes an amazing amount of difference if those small businesses just make sure to address all the simple stuff. Cross every T, dot every I, do all the little things that nobody really talks about anymore that are still in Google Webmaster Guidelines. Breadcrumbs and, URL structure, and just little things. If you cover them all, I mean, you end up with a really understandable site for the search engine crawlers. And with all the social media stuff, and yes, that's super impactful and all that should be focused on, but people have kind of lost sight of the basics, the fundamentals, the real simple small stuff. So that's my fourth S. So speed, smartphone, schema, and small stuff. That's the state of SEO as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome. I'm glad you remembered that because I skipped that question. We did get one question I want to get to really quickly because it's very relative to what you just talked about. Is mobile search different than what we do on the computer? So are there different search results when I'm on my tablet or my phone than when I'm on my computer?
There absolutely may be. It depends on the nature of the search and the intent of the search. You just type in the word restaurant on your phone, you will and you're in another town other than the town that you live in, you're going to get different results than if you just type in the word restaurant on your home computer in the town that you live in. So location is a big part of that, but even just mobile results themselves, non-location specific stuff. Google's actually starting to serve up apps, like not website results, but app store results or apps that are already on your phone. It'll just take you to that part of the app. So mobile search is absolutely different right now, and every little step they have been taking recently just makes it more and more and more different, like with this stuff where they're sending you directly to a specific part of a mobile app that's very different.
That's pretty bizarre. I'm going to have to play with that now because I haven't noticed that. Maybe it'll be really easy for me to find stuff on my phone now if I can just do a Google search.
That's their goal, is kind of to integrate. It's again, kind of creepy because they know a lot about you when you have all these apps on your Google phone, especially if you have an Android phone, you have Google Now. They know what apps you have installed, what apps you've been using, what type of music you've been listening to. So when you go to google.com, but you're still on your phone, it's kind of treating that as like one entity. It's going to serve up stuff on your phone as a search result in google.com. It is kind of like creepy, but it does make for a good user experience, an easy experience in finding what you want, and that's what they want to give you.
That's awesome. I can't wait to play with that later. Well, Pam, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Here's your chance to plug any still services you have right now or events, or just let people know how they can get in touch with you to start improving their website search engine rank.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for come on and chat. It's always fun chatting with you, and the opportunity to plug something. So just two little things. I mean, basically, if you are really concerned about your existing SEO consultant or who to hire or whatever, we're happy to do a free one. So you're using this company, you don't know if they're doing good stuff or bad stuff to your site, or you want to vet a new company. We can look at the way they've been doing their link building with some of the tools that we have. So just get some sample sites from them, ask them for sample sites, or if it's your existing consultant, we'll run your own site through it, and we'll be able to real quick and easy tell if they're doing some things that are not good by Google's rules and putting you in potential risk of getting kicked out of Google, or not. And if not, then that's a good signal that they're doing the right thing. And we'll also be able to tell if they've been doing nothing at all. So happy to do a free link audit for anyone who's really curious about that. And then the second thing I'd love to plug is just that we're hiring. We're really, really busy, which is awesome. I love being able to help so many different businesses, and I want to be able to help more, so we need to grow the team accordingly. Looking mostly for SEO analysts, pay-per-click analysts, and a project manager. And also probably going to need an admin type person role soon too. But really, at the moment, really looking hard for some really good SEO talent, pay-per-click talent, and a really good, awesome project manager to join the team.
So if someone's interested in that, where should they go? Because I don't want to get those emails.
They should go to my website, pamandmarketing.com. As a drop down under the About Us section, there's open positions, so you can see all the job descriptions and how to apply to each.
Very good. Well, I hope that you can get some good candidates and maybe some folks who want to test out how their current SEO consultant is doing. Thanks again for joining us. I do want to let everyone know next week, next Wednesday at noon, we will have John Davis, who has built an amazing app for people in manufacturing and distributors to use in their marketing called Line Card App. He's going to come on and talk about some of the things that manufacturers and distributors should be doing to increase their marketing, to do a better job of marketing in a more current way. So if you're in manufacturing and distribution or just interested in that area, definitely join us next Wednesday at noon. And until then, thanks for joining.
Thank you.